Just keep paddling all the way to the end.
Welcome back to 340 Paddler, and today we're going to talk about checkpoints. These will be your favorite points in the race. Now, oftentimes the checkpoints will be places for ground crews to hang out, try to get some sleep. The paddlers will try and get some food and try desperately not to get back in the boat. Kick them back into the boat. Just do yourself a favor, ground crews. If they're in the boat, you can sleep. I'm going to lay it out there. It's there. You get to sleep. Push them off. Moving on. So let's talk about the cutoffs. And the cutoffs have changed for 2020. So here we have the cutoffs. On Tuesday, obviously you have to leave Caw Point. You must check in via Race Owl between 5 and 8 a.m. at Caw Point. And then your major checkpoint is Waverly. You need to be there by 8 p.m. on Tuesday. This means around 6 miles an hour, a little bit less for solos, a little bit more for tandems, but it works out. Wednesday, you need to get to Glasgow by 4 p.m. That's 68 miles. Thursday, you need to get to Jefferson City, which is 82 miles from Glasgow, by 4 p.m. on Thursday. Basically, 4 o'clock is a really important time. Friday, you have 2 cutoffs. So Herman closes at 8 a.m. on Friday, and Klondike closes at 4 p.m. on Friday because there has been a change. The race is now 85 hours for tandem and 86 hours for solo. So the race ends at 9 p.m. on Friday as opposed to midnight. So some of those times have been bumped up. The only one you really have to worry about here is going to be Waverly, because that bumped up from 9 o'clock to 8 o'clock. That might be a problem for some people right at the very back of the race. But honestly, if you run an efficient trip from Caw down to Waverly, you don't stop too much, you'll probably be fine. Because by the time you look at about 6 miles an hour, the river's going to be giving you at least 2 to 2.5. So that's 3.5 to 4 miles an hour flat water. You're fine. You'll do just fine. You just can't mess around too much. And obviously, don't stop at Waverly to sleep. You would want to wait until Miami or Glasgow to do that. So let's talk about checkpoint markers. What are you going to come across at the checkpoints? First, you will find a flag. During the daylight, these flags are out there. I mean, they're there at night too, but you don't really see them. The flags are there. You will see them for quite a distance, so don't worry. Trust me, you're not going to miss it. Now, at night, it's a slightly different story. There's an arrow, there's a little blue light, and in this picture, it's not that bright. It's actually a strobe light. You will see it for up to 3, 4, 5 miles downriver or upriver of the checkpoint. Trust me, you will see it. You will not miss a checkpoint. Now, some of the smaller boat ramps, you might be looking for lights in the night, that sort of thing. This is Jefferson City, also known as Wilson-Sarandie Point, and this is always extremely well lit up. Let's talk about parking. Where do you put your boats? Well, preferably you're going to put your boat off to the side. If you're going to stop for more than maybe 5 or 10 minutes, pull the boat up onto the grass next to the ramp. Volunteers will help you with this. Your ground crew can help you with this. I know paddling, you're going to be exhausted, but you need to keep the ramp clear. Those ramps are there for local fishermen and other people to use the river, so we can't block them with our boats all the time. You don't want to do this, at least not long term, leaving your boat side on, because what they've now done is blocked that checkpoint. Anyone coming in has to deal with this tandem boat in their way. So remember, people will show up and you won't necessarily have a lot of notice for them showing up because no one's really watching upriver for the next boat coming in. So make sure that you're end on and that you're moving that boat off to the side if you're going to be there for more than maybe 5 minutes. Let's talk about food and water. Of course, Cooper's Landing, famous for food and water. But most of the checkpoints do have food. Usually it's a local Boy Scout troop. And to be honest, even if you're not going to eat the food, that's fine. but I usually tell my ground crew to throw an extra $5 in if I'm not eating, just to support the local Boy Scouts, or the city of Miami is another one that comes out and does a really great job providing food for the racers. Let's talk about long stays. If you're going to be staying for a long time, I have no idea why my head is oh, I do know why my head is floating there. If you're going to be staying for a long time, then you want to make sure that you are not sleeping somewhere that someone's going to run you over. This means don't be where there are cars. Also, if fog is coming up, stay at the checkpoint. The extra mile or two that you're going to make heading into the fog before it's too thick, trust me, it's far better to sleep at the checkpoint where there are people and food and ground crew than it is to sleep on the side of the river in riprap or whatever other situation may arise. Where to sleep? Preferably somewhere out of the way, because there are people in cars who will do foolish things. Those cars will go just about anywhere that they can. So if you can, in this case, you would want to sleep up, for example, next to a tree, or right next to your boat if it's well out of the way of anywhere that a car can get into. You just want to stay somewhere that people are watching for you, because the ground crew is tired. You're obviously exhausted. You're asleep, but ground crews are just as exhausted as you are, and they're not necessarily looking for a human body sprawled across the road. So keep that in mind. Now, for ground crews and people cheering, assume people are sleeping. Really, this is a safe assumption from Miami on daylight or nighttime. Mostly nighttime, obviously. And watch out, for example, if you decide to use a generator, because they're noisy, they put out exhaust, and you're going to interrupt someone who's desperately trying to sleep at Miami. Be careful with an RV, same thing. They could be noisy, air conditioner units, etc. So just park them towards the back of the parking area or away from the ramp a little bit. Just have some consideration for the people who are sleeping. And be careful driving, because, well, there are horror flicks that are saner than what you're going to see at some of the ramps, with people sprawled out everywhere trying to sleep. So drive carefully and slowly, and everyone lives to paddle another day. Also, cheering. Cheering is fantastic. It is great. Keep it down by the boat ramp, because the people who are sleeping are probably going to pull themselves back from the boat ramp a little bit. So in the middle of the night, your guys coming in, yeah, go, go, go. That's great. Just keep in mind, people might be sleeping at the top of the ramp. So maybe put the cowbell away and go with the duck call. No one uses duck calls. Seriously, it would stand out. If you do these things, everyone will have a pleasant race. Everyone can sleep when they need to, no one gets run over, and everyone is safe at the checkpoints. So, until next time, this is 340 Paddler, hoping that you keep your paddle in the water.